Looks like we have another transmission. Welcome everyone once again to the Quantum Cafe and the Interstellar Lounge with your host here, the Cosmic Messenger, Derek Pennett, Light Body Technician, Reiki Master Teacher, and Metaphysical Activator. Whether you've been to this channel before or you're new, this is a metaphysical hub where we bring in all sorts of multidimensional wisdoms, travel the multidimensional highways, and bring in the multidimensional metaphysical modalities. That's a whole lot of multidimensional into this vortex so we can investigate, stay on top of all of the space weather transmissions that are going up in the stars, and make sure that we are prepared as much as possible to recalibrate our four prime bodies. The physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual complexes. The fusion of them with our DNA and our light body in conjunction with our subtle bodies and all of our different metaphysical parts so that we can radiate the highest potential of who we are on a deep oversoul level. Now I bring in any conversation is welcome. Each topic that's spoken about is another access point to the different realms of metaphysical experiences, and the wildest and the more fantastical that they are, then those are the ones that I want to bring into these frequencies. So we start off with primarily working with different metaphysical modalities, explaining the different parts of the metaphysical human field, and as well as transmissions from the galactic central sun all the way to the different stargates. You betcha that it will be covered on this channel at some point, and sometimes even a crystal video to dive deeper into some of that sacred wisdoms as well too. So I am located here at the Star Temple. We got invited to move over to U Retreat, which is fantastic. So we picked up our location and transferred it here in Victoria, BC. We got personally invited to join a holistic healing center where everything there is directed towards multidimensional living on some capacity. So we have like holistic, organic estheticians, if I'm using the right word, body and skin care. We have body work, cranial sacral, naturopaths, acupuncture. There's community acupuncture right beside us, and then as well as myself and my partner Hillary Raven Porter are both working as our own independent businesses within the Star Temple as well too. So we're bringing in all those multidimensional frequencies into the mix, and away we go. It's going to be awesome. So very grateful to be in this new home space as well too. It's a beautiful neighborhood, and it's a pleasure to be part of the community. So reach out if you need any of my services. I also do long distance and in person, so they can be accessed whether you're local or distance as well too. What else? Today is a huge month with tons of star alignments going on with the planets astrologically, celestially. The three main vortexes that we're working with, though, is the 1010 Gateway, October 10th. Powerful numerology, an opening of the star karma, and the rewiring of our DNA. And this is going to impact us very slowly over the month, all the way, because this is the 1010 Gateway that opens up the portal. So you go to 1/11, which is January 11th, and that's the container. So we're at the birthing point of this annual solar activity that takes place, right? Pretty amazing. So we have that, and then we have two eclipses on the 14th and on the 28th. So one is going to be in Libra, and I believe one in Aries as well too. So this is going to be a jam-packed month full of awesome, and also at the same time, this is a great space for us to be honoring the ancestors and the bloodlines as that comes through, as the veil is slowly getting thinner near the end of the month, and then spirit guide communication will be off the galactic radar. It's going to be incredible. So the topic that I wanted to speak about today, as I'm coming on, is I want to speak about the warriors of light. Who are it? Who are they? What are they? And all these different terms we hear, right? We got starseed, lightworker, grid worker, etc., etc. We hear all of these different roles and titles thrown into the mix. But what are they exactly, and what does it truly mean? So we're going to dive deep and investigate a little bit of those terminologies and give you some more expanded wisdoms into what each of their roles are and how important they are in making the galactic whole on this planet. So warriors of light as a whole are any beings or workers and soul entities who are incarnating for the purpose or the re-realization, if we have an awakening, that we are here to be of service to humanity on a whole different level of soul purpose. And on top of it, we're ready and primed to do the shadow work, to dive deep inside of ourselves and bring those wisdoms forward, because we have dedicated ourselves to opening the light, because the darkness on this planet, which is very important, has been running the show for countless eons. And it's gone too far, so it's time to pull away from that and really look at things. So that's what the warriors of light come through and forth. Now, the first one I want to start with is the one that's closest to myself, because not only do I resonate with it, I am one, and this is the starseeds. Now, a starseed is a being who came from another planet, who didn't originally incarnate on this planet before. So it's like a new, fresh experience for them. They haven't been on that planet before, or they spent majority of their time elsewhere and then they came to the planet. So basically, if they're a fresh new soul or a being who hasn't been on the particular planet before, we'll say Earth in this case, then they're coming to encode their wisdoms and frequencies on that planet. Now, you could be in a different planet. You could have been, the same would be if we were talking now when we were in Lyra, right, in that constellation on some of the planets. And then you could have a starseed that could come from Arcturus, from that star system, and come forth and enter the waves. So it's not just necessarily you're not from Earth, right? It could be not from Lyra originally, and then a starseed came to experience and help raise the consciousness and move some of these difficult and challenging times. So it's like a clarion call, right? So what happened on Earth, which makes it really special, is a whole bunch of starseeds, and others, of course, were called. The clarion call went out into the galactic realms of this part of the Milky Way galaxy. And there was 3 waves that are occurring. And these waves, the first wave had 144,000 starseeds. You can link that to the 12-strand DNA. 12 times 12 is 144, right? Which makes your oversoul parts, and so forth. The numbers grow from there. So it's numerology perfection. And what's taking place is 3 waves. So the 50s and 60s, you had wave number 1, right? It was like the initial burst to really get this stuff going. And then you have the 70s and 80s, wave 2, and then late 90s into 2010s is wave 3 as well too, right? And there's additional information that can go with it, because there's also some intel going down in the metaphysical communities that 144,000 of totally 100% awakened starseeds kind of appeared more recently. So there's some other things to add into the mix. Now, these starseeds, not only are they awakened or primed and ready to be awakened, they come with a soul's purpose. They are here to illuminate humanity and help it grow in awareness, help it expand its frequencies and move forward with grace and ease. So a starseed can generally be a multitude of roles that they take, but a lot of them get involved into metaphysical healing services, right? And they offer their wisdom and their intuitive abilities to then be a catalyst to help other people activate some of the dormant parts that are housed inside of themselves, right? So within each category, just to be noted, just because you're a starseed doesn't mean you may not have other roles that take place amongst it. We don't want to get too attached to specifics, but it does give us an idea of what we're working with when we're bringing in all these luminaries into the mix, which is one of the other categories that we'll talk about very shortly. And so the starseeds come, they bring their higher consciousness, they help us work through the metaphysical realms, a lot of the times through deep healing practices, and also receiving spiritual downloads from a wide variety of sources. Galactic Central Sun, spirit guides, tapping into other beings' energetic fields, etc., etc. So, pretty handy to have some of those starseed tools. They can be a mix of different star nations. It's not a particular one, right? I have Arcturian and Spican inside myself, in the bloodlines, in my soul. And others might be Lyran or a Pleiadian Syrian mix, right? Alpha Centaurian, Andromedan, Procyon, the list goes on, Tau Ceti, etc., etc. And not one is better than the other, right? All of these roles are equal. They just have different parts that they do. And a lot of beings say, well, don't get too hung up on your role, to a certain degree. But if everybody was a carpenter, then who's going to put the plumbing together, right? However we're choosing to build our civilization. We need a little bit of everything to bring in those codes into the ascension process. Starseeds are also assist with ascension guide and mentorship as well too, and carry a high level of light codes as well too with them. Okay? Now the next one that we want to talk about is a lightworker. So that's probably the most common one next to starseed. We hear lightworker all the time on a continuous regular basis, right? So what is a lightworker? A lightworker is a being that has dedicated themselves to the service of the light, which automatically includes the darkness, because they're aware that these masks, the shadow work, the dark night of the soul, going through the hall of mirrors, digging for all that stuff inside of ourselves to work on, is a huge component of everything that we're doing, right? And the two meeting together is how we move forward and illuminate our being. Now, light workers come in a large variety of forms, and they work all over the planet in lots of different ways. So you may have a light worker who's working as different roles in the metaphysics, right? Because that's quite frequently where you see them. Maybe they're running a metaphysical shop, right? They could also be a being who is writing a book, metaphysically based, right? Something based on spirituality, and a lot of them get into energy work, right? Whether it's cranial sacral or esoteric acupuncture, sacred heart Tamiana. You see tons of Reiki everywhere, or what I practice, which is Reiki plus multidimensional Reiki. And you have the energy enhancement system, the EE system, working with scalar waves. And the list goes on and on. Human design, there's so many different avenues for a light worker to get involved, right? But they know that they have a purpose, and they're here to support and being those beings of light. Some of them even host meditations as well too, or sound healing transmissions, right? They find ways to bring people together to gather up those frequencies and start to cleanse some of the areas that are needing some of the attention, right? As well as just the areas that they live in. So starseeds and light workers and anything else that I mentioned today on this list, I know we all want to find our soul tribe and kind of connect with some people. And some of us want to be lone wolves, and others need lots of regenerative time, so they need to take space. Whatever your thing is, that's totally cool and respected, but there's a lot that want to find their soul tribe. And the thing is, if we had all the starseeds and all the luminaries all in one spot, then the rest of the planet that's currently in mass distortion isn't going to have any assistance in those various areas. So it's a key feature to be able to include them all together, right? But at the same time, it's also a key feature to spread them all around the globe so that we can be catalysts for awakening others, right? Because that's what a light worker is. It's also a catalyst, right? Metaphysical activator and such. They activate people just by being around them. Now, luminaries, kind of a broad term, but luminaries are beings who carry a high vibrational amount of light codes inside of themselves. It's like they're glowing everywhere they go. They walk into a room, they share their light language. They speak sometimes in esoteric terms. They bring their auric field into the mix, right? People are hanging out with them, and they just start to feel altered from the experience. Because a luminary has a high understanding of what it means to be working with the energetic fields inside of our being, right? And again, just like a light worker, you can find luminaries in all sorts of different forms, right? And not necessarily just in metaphysical realms, but let's say the being was an architect. You can have a luminary architect that's making sacred geometry into its architecture to increase the value of the human experience, and also give them way more bang for your buck, right? You're creating spaces that raise frequencies, that expand artistic practices, that bring a holistic value to the experience. And quite frequently too with them, pushing it in the direction, moving it gracefully in the direction of not using so many chemicals when using or making when we're putting buildings together, using environmentally friendly products as much as possible, right? That are chemical free, that are biodynamic, that, maybe block out some of the EMF that's out there, right? And so working with that geomantic work, right? It's pretty amazing. So whatever area they get themselves involved with, the luminary is glowing. They come with these light codes to share them with the world. And you could be a mix too. You could be a starseed luminary mixed in with a light worker, right? You be you. Whatever it is you resonate with, you might have multiple stuff that you bring into the play, right? As well too. Because all of these places and all of these wisdoms we get all come from different sources. They might be like a channeler as well too. Somebody who's channeling their higher self or is working with parts in their oversoul complex, right? To bring pertinent information down onto the earth plane, right? Some of these luminaries have also been what we would call sometimes sacrifices, right? Beings who went through secret space programs or went through all sorts got to take an off planet to experience the motherships, right? And they were able to move through some of these life-changing situations to then come back down to earth to report on what took place. It's pretty awesome stuff. The next one on the list is called a Wayshower. Now, a Wayshower is somebody who doesn't have their ego attached to anything and isn't asking for anything to come back to them conditionally. They just do what they do naturally, but they're Wayshowers by just their actions, their movements, how they speak and how they handle themselves, right? Whatever their master craft is, some it's the whole entire picture. Their life is quite illuminated. For others, they're really smart in key areas. Intelligence is very high on a spiritual level. And so just by acting out their day-to-day life, playing out these archetypes, right? 12 archetypes of astrology, they're able to show others just by being themselves how you can take mundane living in the 3D plane and move it into the multidimensional sphere, right? They bring in interstellar ways of redoing a lot of it'd be like a Virgoian way, Virgo, how we take a system that's already in place and then we're going to reshuffle it around so that we can bring forth something to the table that is more refined, more elevated, and at service to humanity for the good of everyone, not for consuming our own personal power or feeding our own agendas. Wayshowers are all over the planet. They come in many different forms, and a lot of them work in mundane jobs, but they're there to bring new systems into play, elevate some of the ways that they do things, right? Possibly some new ideas, how we can better have everybody's voice heard at meetings. They have very ingenious ways of being able to show that. You can learn a lot from a Wayshower. Sometimes they're off in the distance, and they're just kind of like special beings that you're inspired by. Maybe it's the care and the amazingness they put into how they express themselves artistically, right? Keeping a wide variety of spectrum of where things can go. Pretty cool stuff. The next one's anchor points. So what is an anchor point? It is beings on this planet who are dedicated to the service of reconstituting the ley lines. So they're way out there on the planet and in the cosmos. Earth has a whole bunch of ley lines, and they're filled with stargates. We pull that energy in. They locate chakra lines or vortices where they overlap. Power points on crop circles are near them, or sacred sites, and they can read the environmental energies around them, right? In the aura, right out to the grid work of Earth. These new grid works come in and they get overlaid multiple times in history. There's been lots of galactic history where new DNA templates, 92, 94, we had a whole bunch, and they gave us the potential, a template, like you'd have for making a building, right? Here's your template for how the design's going to go. Here's the template for the energetics coming onto Earth. And these grid workers are able to work with those energy lines and enhance them, remove the distorted ones, and bring in new frequencies. So when we say that a whole bunch of new energies coming onto Earth, well, you can thank the grid workers for doing a lot of that work. And quite often they work at sacred sites, in and around those areas, nature-based, going out into PowerPoints. They can feel the energy coming through onto the grid line. Like, whoa, there was a big wave of resentment coming through. Something's going on with the collective. Gallbladder and some other things happening inside of the emotional complex as well too. Okay? So they're pretty awesome to have, and they're also fantastic at doing geomancy work, which is the metaphysical art of cleansing a space, right? Come in and do the work. Working with various tools, quite often using their hands, universal life force energy, they're able to direct it with their consciousness as well too. Pretty awesome. So that's anchor points. And then we have collective transmuters, which we just touched base on briefly before, which is when I was talking about resentment coming through in the collective field, collective transmuters take that on a regular basis because they're built for it. So they basically, anytime something's happening collectively or in their community around them, they're able to take a large load of it and help transmute it for others. Invasive stuff that's coming in to the zone that doesn't need to be there, or aligning their consciousness so that their mind thought patterns are promoting wellness on every level, right? And they're able to translate it in ways that then they can share it with others so that they can understand what's currently happening and know how it impacts their life. Pretty awesome. And then we had anchor points, right? And then we have grid workers. And those grid workers, what they do is they go in to the work that the anchor points have pulled in, and they rewire the templates and the grids, particularly in metaphysical sessions, or for instance, like one of the things, I'm grateful for the ability that I have, but let's say there was a sound bath and a multidimensional gong was played and I attended it, I can go outside the location that it was on and tell you about how far the vortex went down the street or the neighborhood or wherever in nature you're located before the energy really started to dissipate. Pretty awesome stuff. So I can speak on that a little bit more personally because I do a little bit of that work. But grid workers go in and they take those templates and then they rework them a little bit so that they can put them into cohesive packages, so then those energy encoded packages can be spread around wherever they go and be used and shared. So it's kind of like the grid work of all of us working together to make that happen. The next one after that is metaphysicians. And metaphysicians primarily get involved in energy work. So they study the human biofield. They study the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual complexes, as well as all of the different parts of ascension. And they dive into various forms of energy healing sessions using frequency, vibration, and energy, universal life force energy, orgone, scalar waves, chi, ki, ka, and they bring that life force in to help beings regenerate and revive on a cellular level so that they can radiate at their highest self, and then also find unique ways to then have non-invasive methods for doing some deep healing combined with finding the core root patterns within a being. So those are really important to have. So if you ever had an energy treatment before at a high advanced level, those are metaphysicians all the way. And then we have, and they work as healers, of course, because it's full spectrum healing is what we're getting involved in. And then we have multidimensional teachers. So these warriors of light, that all the ones I mentioned, they stand in their truth. They're here to move society forward, sometimes take risks, right? Because the level of consciousness, everybody else may not see eye to eye with it at times, but they're not pushing it on anybody. We're just here to be of divine service, right? Of course, each being's unique, and there's some that trip up along the way, but the majority sense that's what they're there for. And multidimensional teachers are the ones that bring in the books. They want to archive the wisdoms, right? And they want to create new metaphysical modalities. So they bring in these things to then teach to beings so that they can share and spread them around the world. Barbara Ann Brennan, that school that has metaphysical healing, right? And Orasoma with its color therapy systems, and taking these very advanced high-level energy trainings. My multi-dimensional Reiki classes go into that level here at the Star Temple, right? And they also build the facilities these teachers a lot of the times that then bring all the other workers together into one area, one place, or they build star temples. So basically higher educational zones where people can come, and not just for education, but also to facilitate group gatherings and such like that too as well. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, they like to archive the material as well so that we can have that wisdom and keep it around for long periods of time and keep them updated as well too, because sometimes the information's not relevant anymore. But a lot of the spiritual and metaphysical information stays relevant because it's timeless on the quantum sphere. Okay? And then the last one I wanted to talk about was Ascended Masters. Now, if you take all the ones we talked about together and mixed it with an extreme amount, yes, extreme amount, of metaphysical healing, karmic work, working through everything we need to go through, and as well as pushing our consciousness to raise the frequency so that they vibrate faster, right? So that we open up our extrasensory perceptions and abilities and push our DNA to go way beyond the 12-strand DNA. Ascended Masters are 30 to 48 strands. Pretty wild. And the Ascended Master is all that combined plus more of everything we talked about today, of all those other areas. And they bring massive shifts. You know, Christ consciousness, Lao Tzu, Kutumi, Saint Germain, right? Serapis Bey, all of them. When they come, they bring teachings that last millennia. They bring templates and energy shifts and supernatural abilities that show us really our natural abilities to a whole nother octave that spreads shockwaves down the 6th, 9th, and 12th dimensional pathways. It's absolutely incredible. So it's a pleasure to have them on the planet. So if we can reach that level and have even more of us come down and have a whole society of Ascended Masters, just imagine where we would be. And the frequencies from all of these beings that I mentioned before, they all contribute to helping create a clean energetic planet so that the plants and nature can vibrate at its highest level. We can get more nutrients out of the soil so we can promote like epic biodynamic living, elimination of chemicals, high vibrational foods, what we wear with the finest fabrics, right? And that everybody lives in their kingdom that they all deserve. It's amazing stuff. So that's Warriors of Light, right? They are here at service to illuminate humanity. It's amazing stuff. Now, before I get going, I just wanted to mention a quick little technique to assist everyone for pulling in the frequencies for the 1010 portal and the 2 eclipses. So, a wonderful technique to use for this month to bring in those frequencies is on each of those 3 days that I mentioned. So October 14th, 28th, and October 10th, 1010. Want you to absorb the frequencies and get more out of it, so make a sacred space in a room. Lay down on the floor for 11 minutes, master number. Hold 2 crystals in either of your hand. You can select whichever ones you like, but clear obelisk quartz would be the one to use for this one. So you'll put them in your hands and you'll spread them out beside you so that you're like open to receiving this energy. And just before you lay down, get some water beside you and put on some metaphysical music and get the room crystalline. Then you're going to say out loud that you're, while laying on the ground holding the crystals, you're going to activate all of the frequencies from those 3 major events and ask for all of the codes to come into your being and to illuminate you and bring your highest good and maximize your potential so that you can feel it on a deep cellular level. State the 1010, state the eclipse, put in some intentions if you want to invite all of that into you, that you want the full totality of those templates to enter your being. Then, when you're done, take 11 more minutes. If you have to sit up for mobility issues, I understand, so you do you, make it comfortable. I want you to do tapping. Tapping is where you take your fingers. You can do it with 2 fingers. You can do all of them combined. And I want you to tap 3 key areas so that it can open up the spiritual downloads, increase your physical wisdom, and allow those messages to come through more. So 11 minutes for the just laying there listening to the music. And then I want you to do 11 more minutes and keep the music playing. And I want you to, well, we'll start with the crown. So you're going to tap the crown for just under 4 minutes because you want to make it to about 11. You can set a timer if you want. And then you're going to continue tapping on your third eye. Just ease into it, breathe, focus on the breath. You can just go at a nice medium pace. And that stimulates the area. So you're stimulating the third eye, you're stimulating the crown, and then over top of your thymus, right? Just do it for a few minutes each one. And it'll open up those channels, because if we stimulate those areas on a continuous, regular basis, then we're able to create that triangular vortex, right? Which then sends messages up through our galactic cord. So enjoy that technique and bring in the frequencies, and let's move to the next octave of our being. Thank you everyone for listening today. It's always a pleasure to come chat with you, and I look forward to more broadcasts. If anybody needs to access my services, I'm here in Victoria, BC. I do one-on-one energy healing, trainings, workshops, gatherings, you name it, and transformational packages. I do in-person and distance. My link will be down here at the end of the video, and reach out if you need me. And until next video, have an amazing galactic month, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.